All right. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see so many people here joining us this morning. We will start in a bit. I am Reina, the executive producer, producer talaga kasi show, executive director of Pinoy Scientists, and I will be your host for today. And I would want to welcome everyone to the joint PAASE and Pinoy Scientists Fireside Chat. And our topic today is building Filipino-centered science communities. Before we begin the proceedings, we'll take note, please take note of the following reminders. We'll give everyone some reminders. And please, feel free to use the chat to say good morning and introduce yourselves. To ensure a smooth experience for everyone, please make sure that your device and internet connection are good to go. And should you be disconnected from Zoom, sana hindi naman po, but you could try to come back, but you may also proceed to PAASE's Facebook page to join the event via live stream. Simply search PAASE, the Filipino Scientist on Facebook. And nandun na rin po, we are streaming now live on Facebook as well. We also encourage you to engage with your fellow participants using the chat feature. Yan, good morning po. For Filsa, thank you po for supporting our event also. And share your thoughts and get to know each other throughout the event. So we're all here. We're also a community, building a community here today. And for our Q&A, later in our panel discussion, we will also be utilizing the chat feature. So you can prepare your questions and then put them in the chat. You can also say to whom for a particular panelist, for example, yung question ninyo, then you can also put that for Bea, ganyan, or for Cami, or for Jade, for Jelaine, in the chat. Yan. All right. So once again, good morning, everyone. I see more people joining in, but it's 9 o'clock, so we will officially begin. And welcome everyone again to our PAASE and Pinoy Scientists Fireside Chat on building Filipino-centered science communities. We are very lucky today to have the privilege of having with us 4 brilliant and strong leaders in the Filipino science community space. And I'm also privileged to be here today to be your host and moderator for the panel. So just to briefly introduce myself, I am Reina Reyes, the Executive Director of Pinay Scientists, and I'm also an Associate Professor at the National Institute of Physics in UP Diliman, and a proud associate member of PAASE. And I will be the moderator for today's panel discussion. So welcome po again to everyone. Be sure, Balik Scientist Program, also one of our partners. Thank you po for joining us. Also from all the way from Cotabato, Bataan, so Pasay, QC. So thank you po all for joining us. We hope everyone will have a very engaged and fun session today, and marami po tayong mapupulot. So as we begin this event, we would like to give a shout out to our partners who made this event possible. This event is jointly organized by PAASE and Pinoy Scientists and brought to you by Mulave Trading Inc. and in partnership with the Philippine Space Agency. Thank you po for everyone for their support. And now to officially kickstart our event, let's all welcome Dr. Gladys Completo, the President of PAASE and currently Professor at the University of Philippines, Los Baños Institute of Chemistry, to give us the opening remarks. Over to you, Doc Gladys.
Thank you, Reina. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to those who are based abroad. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and advocates for gender equality, a warm welcome. PAASE and Pinoy Scientists brings to you this event, which is timely for the celebration of Women's Month. As a background, the Philippine Academy of Science and Engineering, or PAASE in short, is a non-profit international professional organization composed of scientists and engineers of Philippine descent who have distinguished themselves in scholarly and research-related activities. And one of PAASE's advocacies is to collaborate with other organizations who are in the forefront in pushing STEM in the country, just like Pinoy Scientists. This Fireside Chat highlights empowered Pinay scientists and their impactful contributions to STEM. As we gather here in celebration of Women's Month, it is fitting that we push for a goal of making avenues for inspiration and inclusion, as symbolized by the hashtag Inspire Inclusion. This year's celebration not only spotlights the remarkable achievements of Pinay scientists in various disciplines, but also serves as a platform to advocate for equal opportunities and more inclusive spaces for women in STEM. Today, let's come together to recognize and celebrate the resilience, creativity, and expertise of Filipino women who are shaping the landscape of science and technology. Our goal is to foster Filipino-centered science communities that empower and uplift every individual, regardless of gender. These communities have served as platforms for nurturing local talent, fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, driving impactful innovations, and addressing pressing societal challenges. By motivating the upcoming generation of scientists, engineers, and innovators, they inspire us to reimagine possibilities and create a brighter, more inclusive tomorrow for everyone. Together, let's strive for a future where women's inclusion in STEM is not just a goal, but a reality. Your presence here today reinforces our shared commitment to making STEM fields welcoming to everyone. Let's kick off this event with energy and a dedication to making the future brighter and more inclusive for all of us. This event is the first activity organized in partnership with Pinoy Scientists, and we look forward with future and fruitful collaborations with them moving forward. Thank you for joining us in this important conversation. Again, Happy Women's Month. Avance babae. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc Gladys. So inspiring. Happy Women's Month to everyone. And we're celebrating it also nga in this wonderful way. So without further ado, let's meet these powerful and brilliant women that we will be hearing from and learning from today. And you can also interact with them with your questions later. So let's welcome Cami, Jade, Bea, and Jelaine. Will properly introduce them to you later. But a fun fact to start with, all these women were once contributors to Pinoy Scientists. So they are part of our community and we're so happy to have them here today, including Cami, who is now the managing director at Pinoy Scientists, and she was featured during the Tumblr era of the platform pa, for those who still remember. Those were the days. So we will get to learn more about them and more about the communities that they represent here today. And for our panel discussion, before our panel group discussion, we will have panel talks from each of them to share briefly about their work and what they do with their communities. So we'll start off with Cami, who will share about Pinoy Scientists and the supportive global community of Filipinos in STEM we have built through the years. So introducing Cami, Camila Navarro is my co-founder and our managing director for operations and communications at Pinoy Scientists. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in molecular biology and biotechnology from the University of the Philippines, Diliman in 2015 and received her Master of Science Communication from the Australian National University in 2017. She has since worked as a professional science communicator across 3 countries, the Philippines, Singapore, and Australia. In the Philippines, she helped pioneer a curriculum for science and risk communication at top universities like Ateneo de Manila University and De La Salle University, as well as published key articles on the state of local science communication. If you're really interested in science communication, look up these papers and read them. In Singapore, she managed an award-winning science and technology publication and also worked at the National University of Singapore as a science editor. She is part of the International Science Council's Public Value of Science panel of experts and regularly represents the Philippines at international science communication meetings. Currently, she is taking up her PhD in meta-research at the University of Sydney. So, joining us from Sydney, let's all welcome Cami Navarro.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Reina. It's a little long. I'm so sorry for sending you a long bio sketch. But yes, so I'll just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen share? Yes. Okay, great. So yeah, again, thank you so much to Reina. I'm really happy to represent Pinay Scientists today at the PAASE Pinay Scientists Fireside Chat. So let's get to know the platform a little bit. So for those who aren't aware yet, Pinay Scientists, it's an online platform that gives a voice to brilliant scientists from the Philippines, one post at a time. And as Reina mentioned, this platform has gone through many incarnations. It was originally started as a Tumblr blog by Reina maybe over a decade ago. And since then, we've expanded into Instagram and Facebook. So I'll touch on two more of our recent initiatives to expand later on. So what drives us here at Pinay Scientists? So first of all, we have our 3 Ys, which is to inspire, connect, and share. So with inspiring, what we want to do is to first introduce proudly Filipino role models to the community. We want to let the world, the universe know that Pinoy scientists exist. And then next would be to connect. And we do that by fostering connections between the contributing scientists and the community. So of course, Instagram and Facebook are both very, social platforms through comments, messages, even, interactive stories. There's that avenue for the community to interact with the scientists directly. And then last, it would be to develop the science communication skills of contributing scientists. So that's how they share. So for most of our contributors, a lot of them come from the academe. And on Instagram, you only have, I think, around 2,000 characters worth that you can share, in a post every day. And when you come from the academe, full of jargon, very lengthy words and sentences, it's actually a different skill set to be able to make your work, your science, more accessible to the general public. So that's what we try to do through their stint at Pinoy Scientists. Okay. And how do we achieve those 3 Ys? So each week, what happens is that the contributor will upload a post that pertains to one of these daily themes or hashtags. So let's just go quickly through them. So first we have Motivation Monday. And on Motivation Monday, that's when the scientists would introduce themselves and explain, what motivated them to go into their field, into science. And yeah, it's just basically this good way to get to know more about what really drives these scientists to do their science. And then next on Tuesday, there's Thesis, Technique, or Travel Tuesday. Quite self-explanatory. So this is their opportunity to share more about their research, what techniques they're working on. So here you can see ways to study genes. And as we know, science is it allows us to go places, no? So when they have to travel, let's say for a conference or for a meeting, this is also their opportunity to be like, hey, I went to, let's say, Europe, I went to the US for this meeting and it was great. So it's really their avenue to showcase those nice travels and the people they've met along the way. And then next would be Wisdom Wednesday. So this is their chance to showcase any key nuggets of wisdom or any initiatives that they want to highlight. So for instance, we have a lot of contributors from GradMap, which helps young Filipino undergraduates get into master's or PhD programs. So we let them highlight that, for instance. And then on Thursdays, Throwback Thursday, that's the way for the scientists to look back at what they've accomplished since their early days as a scientist. So in this pretty viral post, one of our contributors shared how he had a CV of failure. So he kept a CV basically a track record of all of the grad school rejections he had, but now he's in grad school, so obviously he succeeded, right? But this was it resonated with a lot of people, this one. And then, as we know, scientists are also people and they also have fun outside of science. So thank God it's Friday. It's basically their avenue to be like, hey, these are the things that I like to do beyond the lab or the field. And then finally, it ends with Science Saturday, which is where the scientist has this one final opportunity to share how much they love science, why they do science. It's basically their love letter to science, this post. And so that concludes the whole Pinoy Scientists takeover for that contributor. And of course, there are also interactive stories. So for instance, the audience can ask Q&A. There's also, ayun, parang mga quiz. They can also do time lapse of their experiments in the lab. So lots of different opportunities to showcase their stories beyond that one post. So over the years, we've had 180 contributing scientists. So there's some actually here right now in the audience. Thank you very much for participating. And then we have over 7,000 followers and nearly 60,000 followers on Facebook. So really nice to see that community grow. We also now have a dedicated website, PinoyScientists.com. We have a newsletter with monthly updates on everything that's going on in the Filipino science community. It's on Substack, comes out every month. And as this event proves, we've also ventured into having these community events. Like last year for our anniversary, we had this panel discussion about career pathways in science. So that's all from me. Please like and follow our different social media platforms on IG and Facebook. We're at Pinoy Scientists. The website's PinoyScientists.com, and our newsletter is PinoyScientists.substack.com. So thank you again for the opportunity to share more about Pinoy Scientists, and I'll just hand it over to you, Reina.
Great. Thanks so much, Cami. Super excited to see talaga how Pinoy Scientists has grown over the years and also how it's continued to grow. And shout out then to all our interns and volunteers some of whom are here also today. Okay, so thanks, Cami. And now we will go to our next speaker. Okay, so I will introduce our next speaker. Is Jade Castro. She received her bachelor's in material science from the University of the Philippines in 2019. And she previously worked on research and development for plastic recycling with Sentinel upcycling technologies, and now focuses on developing social behavioral change and implementing circularity in communities. She started Ideal Materials PH in 2020. That's the organization and community that she is representing today. And this led to consulting on the UNDP Philippines Innovation for Circular Economy Hub and presenting about the circular economy to various private companies, multilateral organizations, and local government units. In 2023, she was chosen to participate in the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative Professional Fellows Program under the Sustainable Development and Environment team. She's now pursuing her master's in Natural Resource Management, majoring in Circular Societies through an Erasmus Mundus joint degree in Europe. So yung kaganda sa Erasmus Mundus, you have multiple places to go and learn from. So from Ghent University in Belgium, Uppsala University in Sweden, and Freiburg University of Mining and Technology in Germany. Let's all welcome Ms. Jade Castro. Over to you, Jade.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Share ko lang screen ko real quick. Okay. I just want to confirm you can see my screen fine. Yes, okay. And good morning. Currently it's 2 a.m. here in Sweden, but I'm here because I love the science community in the Philippines. So, okay. So I'm here to introduce my community, Ideal Materials PH, and what we've done so far and what direction we're hopefully moving towards. So here I put our subtitle as Communities at the Heart of the Transition to a Circular Economy, because I believe that that's the only way we can move forward possibly towards more sustainable initiatives. We all have to work together. So this started, as Reina mentioned, in 2020. During COVID lockdown, our village was basically so bored. They were like, what can we do? Can we go out of the house? And then they decided to adopt a Drop the Plastic event, which was also being implemented at the time in Ayala Alabang village in Muntinlupa. So my village is in Quezon City. And my neighbors didn't know what to do. And so I stepped in. I said, I'm a materials engineer. I've worked with plastics. I'm very familiar with this. Let's get started. Let's do something that can actually help. So I thought about what the problem really was. And here you can see some pictures of how the recyclables, quote unquote, would come to our community, and were being dropped off by our neighbors and some people outside even who heard that we were doing this initiative. And as you can see, it's really just all a pile of mixed waste. So I put a link here. I put a quote here. If you are not aware of the problem, of how you are part of the problem, you can't be part of the solution. So these are a few steps on how we navigated our way towards a more systemic approach. So where are we now? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? So we just wanted to make a better system here, and that we can educate our fellow neighbors on what they can do about the problem. So this led to the creation of guides, videos, educational materials that I posted on Facebook. So here you can see Drop the Plastic, some few steps, and then there's a video that volunteers did actually. They were a group of students who volunteered. They said, we saw your initiative, can we do something to help educate others as well? So I said, yeah, okay, you can compile videos because I'm really bad at that. And then they did that. They even did it in Tagalog, and in English so that everyone can be taught. And then from here, I was able to translate this advocacy work into my actual work with Sentinel Upcycling Technologies. And so we were able to create this system called vertical sorting method. And then we also created guides to help materials recovery facilities and LGUs on how they can start sorting waste that we can collect as recyclers. And this has taken me to a lot of communities around the Philippines. So here I highlighted some of the people I've interacted with and gave this lecture to. So this one is Pasita Organic Garden. They're a really lovely community in Los Baños, and they're promoting their gardening, of course, but also a lot of sustainable lifestyle. Allen and Arrow Club, they're a beach community in Zambales who teach their kids to clean up the beach and also have sports activities. Planet Cora is also an NGO. They do collections as well. And then, of course, my last project before leaving the Philippines was creating or helping establish the Innovation for Circular Economy Hub in Pasig City through UNDP. So this is an ongoing project, and we're hoping to also establish it in Quezon City this year. So aside from that, I've also been able to travel to Iloilo, all the way down to Cotabato. I was able to talk to their LGUs there on how they can start promoting this. So yeah, that's it from me. My Facebook, Instagram, and email are here. And it's really at the heart of how we can shift towards the circular economy is the community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jade, for introducing your work, your important work. And we'll hear more from you and all the panelists later in the discussion. Next, our next speaker, we'll now introduce our next speaker, Ms. Beatrice Tulagan. She is a writer, facilitator, and climate justice organizer. She is currently the Associate Director of Network Development at 350.org, a global nonprofit that aims to be a laboratory for the best ways to strengthen the climate justice movement and catalyze transformation around the world. She holds an executive certificate in nonprofit leadership from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University Executive Education. As a youth climate advocate, she actively participated in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change in 2014 and 2016, and also served under UNDP Philippines and Para Bukas Frida, the Young Feminist Fund and Climate Tracker. With her advocacies, she has written and spoken extensively on women-led resistance against fossil fuel interests in the Philippines, the power of intersectional movement building, eco-anxiety, feel natin ito, mental health, and finding hope in a burning world. Wow, yan, kailangan natin yan. Calls for a just COVID-19 recovery, and many more. So let's all give a warm welcome to Ms. Beatrice Tulagan. Over to you, Bea.
Thank you so much, Reina. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Pasensya na po yung mga aspa, of course, I'm working right when I was starting to speak. So my apologies for that. But nonetheless, I'm very happy to be here. I'm surrounded by amazing scientists and science communicators in my personal life. So I'm very always grateful to be in good company always. I'm just going to be sharing my screen. Hold on. Let me try that again. Okay, sorry, please. I'm just having internet trouble and it's not loading right now. Can I please request to just go to the next speaker first so that we don't waste any time? I apologize for this. Thank
No
you.
worries, Bea. Sige, we'll just switch. Sige, we'll hear from you later. Thanks, Bea. Sige, let me introduce our fourth speaker and final. Well, now we'll switch. So our next speaker will be Ms. Jelaine Gan. She is an instructor at the Institute of Biology in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and is currently undertaking PhD studies in biology at Newcastle University in the United Kingdom. She has a wide research interest on urban biodiversity, landscape ecology, and wildlife biology, and her favorite study subjects are birds. Because of her passion for environmental conservation, she is involved in university communities and committees and non-governmental organizations such as the Raptor Watch Network Philippines and Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. So inspired by the Ateneo Wild, she founded the UP Wild Facebook page that promotes the appreciation and conservation of campus biodiversity. So we'll hear more about that from her today. And just a few months ago, exciting, she published a book entitled Wild City, a photographic guide to amphibians, mammals, and reptiles of Metro Manila, which encourages Filipinos to explore and learn more about the biodiversity in our cities. So let's all give a round of applause and welcome Miss Jelaine Gan.
Hello.
Over to you, Jelaine.
Thank you, Reina, for that wonderful introduction. At maraming salamat sa pagsali sa lahat ng mga nandito ngayon sa ating audience. So good morning po sa inyong lahat. At ako po ulit si Jelaine, and I'm here to talk about a passion project of mine. Now, I'm really, really honored to be part of this wonderful event, especially following incredible scientists, incredible women in science, as well as in environmental protection. Now, so I would like to talk about my own passion project. And if you can see my screen, this is a satellite image of Metro Manila. And specifically, this shows the heart of Metro Manila, which is in Quezon City. Now, this is the sad reality that a lot of people currently lived in, or a lot of people are going to experience in the future. We cannot prevent urbanization. Things are always going to be more concretized, and we're going to live in areas that are closer to cities or in urban jungles such as this. So it is all the more important to raise awareness about the importance of little spaces like this patch here that you can that you can see in the screen. So these are important green spaces. And in this urban setting, this is where UP Wild is currently operating, or the context that we operate. Amidst the development that is happening in Metro Manila as well as inside the campus, we want to be the voice for our ecosystems, for our biodiversity. We basically want to show people, the Filipino people, that even in urban jungles and cities, there are still wild places. So we are not an NGO, we are not a formal group. This is just a passion project started by a group of friends, and we started this last September 2018, and we have now expanded to Instagram. So when we started this, we felt like the social media is really a game changer when it comes to raising awareness. A lot of Filipinos are using Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. So we think that it would be a good idea to start this awareness program using Facebook, for example, so that we can reach more people and we can reach our target audience would be millennials as well as the younger generation. Because itong mga millennials or coming mga millennials, we grew up in cities already. We grew up disconnected with nature. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to connect more Filipinos with natures. So the objective of our group is to promote the appreciation of flora and fauna. So these are the wildlife in our campus in UP Diliman, and raises the importance of urban green spaces for biodiversity. Now, most of our activities are geared towards information dissemination as well as actual walks to let people see the wildlife themselves, because we feel like without appreciation, there would be no conservation. Kaya kailangan makilala ng mga Pilipino kung ano ba ang meron tayo para maprotektahan natin ito. How we do this is very simple. With pictures and videos that we use, that we post online, we tell the stories of the plants, of the birds, of the fig wasp that you can see here in the video. These are tiny little insects. No voice, you cannot hear them, but through our photos, through these videos, we want to give them a voice. So these are informations like what they're called, kung anong pangalan nila, what is the trivia about them, information that you would usually not know. And so we want to share or disseminate this information through social media and bringing nature to the attention of more people. Now, the one that you see on the left, that collage, is actually pictures that are all found in UP Diliman. So incredible, because akala natin cities are no nature, na parang we need to go to the mountains to find nature. But actually, even within our cities, amongst our neighbors, there is wildlife that is to be protected. So we feature insects as small as the ants there. We feature frogs, snakes, birds, and of course, we don't forget the beauty of flora, yung mga flowers and vines that are native to the Philippines. These are underappreciated, and we really want to get more people to know about them. So aside from our online presence, we are also conducting several on-the-ground activities to those that people who want to see them in person, like a meet and greet. This was before when I was still in the Philippines. We would organize regular bird talks or nature walks. And no pandemic, because this was not possible, we did a virtual tree walk. And aside from these walks and introductions, we actually ran this citizen science program where we encourage everyone, hindi lang mga scientists, anyone with a cell phone, to go walk around the campus, take pictures of wildlife, and then upload it in iNaturalist. And this will help us create this map of what's out there, a map of biodiversity for an area like UP Diliman. So again, that's UP Wild in a short nutshell, or in a small nutshell. And we hope you guys can follow us and like us, and hope to see you guys in our events. Thank you very much.
Wow, thanks so much, Jelaine. Nakakatuwa talaga. And hopefully nga many of our audience here will also discover the beauty and amazing things na makikita natin, not just in UP but wherever they may be. So thanks, Jelaine, and we're looking forward to hearing also more from you later. And now let's try to come back to Bea. And so again, introducing Miss Bea Tulagan from 350.org.
Thank you, Reina, and thank you, everyone. Let me try this again. Okay. I'm hoping everyone can see that. Okay, fantastic. Okay, once again, magandang umaga, magandang gabi, magandang hapon po sa atin lahat, wherever we may be dialing in from. My name is Beatrice Tulagan, and I'm a climate justice organizer, which means that I lead people to each other to make transformative change wherever they may be, whatever skill sets they may have, whether they're coming from STEM fields, they're doing research work, or they're doing community organizing work, people from the grassroots who are fighting against interests and energy, for example, and fighting for transformative climate solutions. So I work for an organization called 350.org, and 350 represents the safe concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and we have gone way past that. What's beautiful about this fight, it's hurtful and it's a struggle in so many ways. But what's beautiful about the climate justice fight is that it presents a unique opportunity for us to course correct and really build the world we need, really build a safe climate and a better future, an equitable world that's not just about, switching out technology or economic systems one for the other, but really building something beautiful in its place, one that honors our shared humanity, one that's prosperous and equitable, and all of that. So these are the ways that we've been campaigning over the years. As mentioned, 350 is a global nonprofit, but I am based in the Philippines, and I've been working in the local climate movement for almost, or at least a decade now. And what's beautiful about our work, I would imagine, is that it really uplifts the power of the people. So we're not just reliant, for example, on leaders, on corporations, but we really try to do trainings, we really try to do communications campaigns, we do campaigning skill ups, organizing skill ups, and really making people feel that they have power over their power. Our history is campaigning against fossil fuel projects, shifting finance to renewable climate solutions, and of course, powering up local grassroots and people-powered campaigns for energy justice. I guess this is a little bit of my background. As mentioned, I'm a writer and a climate organizer, but I've always imagined my work is how we practice dreaming in a better world. And dreaming in a better world basically just means that we hold each other and our leaders accountable to the realities of climate science and the principles of justice. And organizing, lifting up marginalized voices, frontline voices, people who are the most affected by the climate crisis is also about practicing justice and our shared futures through organizing. And organizing, it's not something that we can have a blueprint for. It's a lifelong work. It's a lifelong relational work of, connecting with our shared humanity, listening to the science so that we can safeguard a just energy transition and build the future that we and the future generations deserve. And again, my work, it's not, and 350's work, it's really not just about, millions of people. Like, I'm sure you've heard of the global climate strikes, inspired by the work of Greta Thunberg. You've heard about, conferences that intend to solve the climate crisis. But I'm really of the opinion that it's the truest work that we can do for now is really building our relationships with each other and seeing organizing as practicing our shared futures. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bea. Super powerful work. And again, yun nga. And now we'll get to hear more from Bea and the rest of the panelists in our panel discussion. So thank you all for sharing your insights into building these incredible communities during your in your talks. And now we can delve more deeply a bit more deeply, and then and share more, hear more from your stories and insights in our panel discussion. Yan. Okay, so now we're all together. I think let's just pretend that we are in the same room or stage. Welcome everyone. And start us off. I'll start us off with our question about inspiration, yun yan, di ba? Motivation, motivation, where it all began for you and your to start or join your community organization. Maybe we can start with Bea, who heard from just now.
Thank you, Reina. I started in the climate movement in 2014, almost 10 years ago. I joined the Conference of Parties for Climate by the UN conference in Lima, Peru. And at the time, I remember feeling just so overwhelmed by the gravity of the enormity of the situation, and how, you know, someone like me who lives in this small town in Metro Manila in the Philippines, in this corner of the planet, can really make my mark. And I've wobbled around some ways until I found my way in 350. So 350 really lifts up people power and really trains especially youth leaders during the era of the global climate strikes on how to you know, not only do awareness campaigns and policy advocacy and research and all of that, but really how do we make people accountable to what we deserve, to the world that we deserve. And again, I think I mentioned this earlier, but it's a really beautiful thing to be you know, to have our future determined by our actions, because I feel like that just makes us feel that we have power over justice, and that from now on we safeguard that justice in the energy transition, but also in the many other ways that we relate to each other. So that's my beginnings in the climate community building world.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Bea. Maybe Jelaine can share also next.
Right. Yes. So ano yung nag-inspire sa akin? So I'm a biologist in training nung undergrad ako at yung master's ko is also in biology, and syempre we get to learn about animals, about wildlife in the Philippines. But then it made you realize as well how much we don't know. Like, nung lumaki tayo, what do we know about wildlife? Zebras, giraffe, or lion, tiger. Pero lahat ito, hindi naman to nakikita sa Philippines. So it's very, our idea of wildlife is very Western or very foreign. And no one really knows about native biodiversity. And dun yung isa sa mga motivation ko to start something that will get more people interested and also to get know what is our own. Because syempre, Filipino pride, we can't go around just saying that we love bald eagles or what. We have our own, and it is, the Philippines is such a rich in terms of biodiversity. We are a hotspot in the world. That means that we have animals and plants that are only found in the Philippines. And without protecting them, they will be gone. So it's really important, and that's the motivation for starting an awareness campaign towards native biodiversity. And cities, dahil a lot of people do live in the cities, and yun nga, hindi natin alam na we actually live with snakes, frogs, and insects that have names. Hindi lang sila mga peste. So it would really, I thought that it would be really nice to start something that will get people more connected. And this was inspired by yung Ateneo Wild, which is an equivalent or counterpart for Ateneo Campus.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jelaine, for sharing. How about Jade?
Hi, Ian. Okay. So when I was also an undergrad, I was lucky enough to go to Japan for an internship over the summer, and I was in Hokkaido actually. I was supposedly focusing on nuclear waste management, but what I fell in love with was their trash. So in my dorm, they gave us a magazine of how to recycle, sort out our waste, how to properly clean it, what their collection schedule was. And I was so amazed by it. I was like, what we can actually do this? It's normal for them. So I went back to the Philippines, just like always thinking, why don't we have this kind of system? And the opportunity that I got to help implement such a thing, I took it. So I also helped in the development of this guide, the waste analysis and characterization study, that was done for DENR, in 20, I think it started in 2019, and it was published a few years ago also, and it just all started from there.
Wow, wonderful. You sometimes yun nga, you're actually intending to do or you study one thing, but then these opportunities call to you, and then you just go with it, and now you've made a mark on this particular problem. Thanks for sharing, Jade. And finally, we have Cami. I'm also curious to hear how, what inspired you to.
Well, of course, you inspired me, Reina. So, yeah,
Uy, hindi yun, hindi yun set up.
fishing
No,
it,
but yeah, what inspired you to come up with this idea to expand Pinoy
right?
Scientists
Um,
and reach out? Mhm.
Yes. So again, as I mentioned earlier, when I was first featured on Pinoy Scientists, it was during the Tumblr era. And then at the time, I think Instagram was also starting to take off. And I saw a couple of Instagram accounts, but they were mostly based in the US or in Europe, basically, not in Asia or in the Philippines. And yeah, and I would see a similar kind of style where they would feature different scientists. And I was thinking, well, why couldn't we have the same, right? And at the time, Pinoy Scientists already existed, and more importantly, Facebook already bought Instagram. So there was that easy kind of integration, if you will. So after my master's, I went back home to the Philippines, and I was able to meet up with Reina and propose this idea to her. And Reina has always been so open to these kinds of initiatives until now, and she was very receptive to the idea. And so yeah, here we are 5 years later, and I am the managing director, and I'm really grateful to Reina for the opportunity to help expand Pinoy Scientists. So yun, I think we're also always open to more opportunities. So if there's someone here in the audience who has an idea to maybe supercharge the growth of Pinoy Scientists, we're always open to it.
Definitely. Great. Thanks all for sharing. Now we go into question on challenges. Hindi talaga siya nawawala. Pero it's actually good to share kasi na of course we share our stories and our successes, but we also want to have a venue to share about the things that, di ba, that we need to overcome to get there, kasi hindi naman madali itong work na ito. So it's an opportunity to share about the challenges that you encountered while building your community and how you overcame these challenges and what supported you, so that others can also learn as they navigate their way through also maybe starting their own initiatives. So maybe we can start with Jade.
Hi, okay. So the story that I always tell during my seminars is this: there was this time that when I was collecting recyclables, one of my neighbors just gave me this plastic Tupperware tub full of, what do you call this? There is like a sticko container. I'm sure people here know what a sticko
Yes.
container is. And then
Yes.
when I opened it, there was still leftovers, and what I thought there was like peanut brittle inside, but then it turned out to be like a bunch of dead cockroaches. And it just like, it was so gross that I had to deal with it myself. And I told them, could you please clear this next time? This is the instructions that we give. This is the state that we expect the plastics to be in, to be recycled. And it takes a lot of patience to teach people, and like it's very easy to give up because of like situations like that. But you have to remember that the people have to start somewhere, and learning, as my boss slash mentor slash colleague taught me years before, learning is an iterative process, and so we shouldn't expect people to immediately understand what we mean. So that's definitely one of the challenges that I face, the not initially understanding what is necessary, but it's really worth it to see that people learn from it and like eventually follow through. So there.
Great. Thanks, Jade. Sige, na ano din ako doon. But yes, definitely learning is a lifelong actually experience, and in cultural then also for us, we didn't learn it as kids. So when we have to come in later, and that's why it's so important. And hopefully later in the younger generations will also now have this. How about who wants to come next, or anyone? Sige, how about Jelaine? Nakangiti si Jelaine.
Yeah, sure. Wala naman akong challenge like Jade, no? Well, at least in my case, like, it's mainly social media, so I deal with online people. But yeah, that's very intense, Jade. But kudos to you for dealing with the cockroaches. And I guess for me, since social presence or social media yung dinideal ko, meron din siyang kaakibat na stress when it comes to dealing with like the social world. You guys know about it. It's a toxic world out there, and it is very tiring as well. No una, no, it's so easy to think about it. Like, okay, I'm gonna make a page, gagawa ko ng posts, tapos ipopost ko to. Sounds so easy kasi we post every day. Pero when you actually do it, it's actually super heck, I mean, it's tiring, and it's like sometimes taking the fun out of your work. Like it just feels work more than passion. So there's time, may mga araw talaga na you feel like, oh, why am I doing this? But again, as Jade mentioned, wag ka lang mag-give up. You just have to continue working on it, and don't lose interest, because you will only see the fruit at the end of a hard work. And it's just frustrating as well, because if it's you're dealing with social media, syempre yung ating indicator of success ay likes, followers, shares, and it feels very plastic in a way na, oh, please like and share. O kaya, yeah, if you see a post that you did a lot of work on and there's no one sharing it, especially in the early days, it is a bit disheartening. So it's just continuing despite the failures and learning from it, maybe finding the right people to help you. And I guess one of the big challenges as well was during the pandemic, because even if everyone's on their social media, we cannot do our on the ground activities. Pero we tried to be creative about it, and basically we did a blog tour of UP campus, and then through a live stream, we were talking about the birds and the plants in the campus. So there is technology that will help you overcome these challenges. And it's just, you need to be creative about how to deal with these challenges. I guess that's my input there. Maybe Cami would know or would be able to share more bilang social media rin ang Pinoy Scientists.
Yes, thanks, Jelaine. I was actually just about to ask Reina if I could also come after you on that. But you made a very good point about how social media, I think we're all aware, can be quite toxic sometimes. And that's definitely something we face day to day in Pinoy Scientists. Some of our contributors, unfortunately, there are people, I don't know, they just maybe they spend too much time on the internet and they just want to, cause some chaos. And so sometimes they leave comments that are not quite nice. But what I think has been so heartwarming is that when these incidents happen, it's actually our Pinoy Scientist community, past contributors, or even longtime fans who come in, and they're the ones who I don't even have to do anything most of the time. I just when I finally load the comment, for instance, by the time I get there, it's okay. This past scientist has defended, the poster, or has defended Pinoy Scientists. So that really, I think, speaks to the power of what a community can do and what it can achieve, right? You have all that shared mission of wanting to inspire, of wanting to connect and wanting to share. And yeah, when you encounter these kinds of challenges, they're there for you. So very happy to have been able to build that through Pinoy Scientists. Yes.
Thanks, Cami, for sharing. We'll last but not the least, we'll ask Bea to share as well challenges.
Thank
Share.
you. Yeah, I definitely resonated a lot of the other speakers have shared already, but I guess what's been front of mind, especially recently, are two main challenges. The first one is that I work a lot with youth leaders, right? So, in organizing, the goal is really not to center yourself in the conversation, but to sort of like distribute our organizing and campaigning power. And of course, you need to keep on training new people, ask them to join this movement. But recent studies have shown, there are some studies that have claimed that we have already reached the threshold of 1.5 degrees of more global warming. Supposedly, hindi na siya, alam mo yun, it's not anything that we can reverse anymore. A lot of claims around that. And what is your duty of care to these people that you have basically dragged to your community, saying that this is a beautiful transformative work, right? Like as they navigate burnout, which I've also done so many off days for. How do you navigate the eco-anxiety, the burnout? But more than that, I have friends who are very vocal, not just on social media, but they literally attend like Senate hearings and protests and all of that. The Philippines is the top country for harassment of environmental defenders, for example. How do you make this work meaningful and safe and beautiful and transformative when there are all those real challenges? And as the sort of like people responsible for leading them to each other, how do you navigate burnout? And there are many beautiful psychological studies around this, but my favorite thing to mention is that I realized that we have to realize that it's not only us, and the value of community is that we have each other's backs. Since I work in a global role, I've trained activists from like Myanmar to Brazil and all of that. So my favorite metaphor is that when I'm just about to sleep, done with my strategizing, campaigning, organizing, whatever work for the day, someone is just about to wake up, right? And someone is about to pick on that work, because we are a community and solidarity is super important. And quickly, the next one is that, how do you connect that dots also, those dots then? This struggle is inherently, again, political and life-changing and transformational. And to that, I just mentioned this a lot, that, the struggle is local. We each have, we're all making fights, through making it through fights in our local communities. But the solidarity is global, and we can lean on each other for this fight because we have each other. We have a global community of whether it's not naman literal na climate change yung focus mo, environmental justice, climate justice, all of that, it's all interrelated. So yeah.
Definitely, we're all connected. Thanks, Bea. It's beautiful. We'll ask a final question before we get to the questions from the audience. Actually, I've seen a few now already. So thank you. Keep them coming and we'll get to them. So just a final question for the panel. What advice can you give for cultivating a sense of community based on all your experiences and insights that you gained from your own communities? May mga nabigay na advice kanina, but you can also expound on that, and para may mapulot din po yung mga nasa audience ngayon who are thinking of building their own communities. And also, I think yun nga, na parang actually we're all one community, di ba? So parang, how do we be better members and contributors? Does anyone want to take that on first? Kami?
Okay, fine. I can go first. So I think for Pinoy Scientists, definitely, I think part of the success has been in how it's made the actual living Filipino scientists. Their stories are very authentic, very uniquely Filipino stories. It's made it accessible to the public. One of the taglines, our tagline actually for Pinoy Scientists, is that yes, we exist. And I think that by showing Filipinos that yes, it's not just, for instance, especially because it's Women's Month, we hear a lot of like Fidel Mundo, Maria Arosa, and they're wonderful, they're pioneers, but they also passed away a long time ago, So what we're showing, I think, through Pinoy Scientists are people who you can still contact, who you can still ask for advice, and I think that's a good way to, have that kind of community by making these kinds of scientists accessible to them. And yeah, because it's on social media, I think like for academics particularly, very much the stereotype, like, oh, nasa lab lang kayo, or like wherever, in the ivory tower of science. But through social media, at least there is that touch point that it lessens the distance between science and those who are not scientists. So yeah, that's pretty much how Pinoy Scientists, I think, has been able to achieve success in building the community.
Thanks, Cami. Next,
I
Jelaine.
think, can I jump on that? Because it's very, I guess, related and follow up. And going back to what you said a while ago, Reina, na everything, like we're just one community. And I think we can see that here dito sa panel talks natin today, where we talk about different advocacies, pero at the end of the day, they're actually all related. Like environmental justice in terms of climate change is very much related to upcycling in a local scale. And also when it comes to biodiversity protection. And of course, we need scientists to be able to do those kinds of conservation or like advancements in finding solutions to our problems. I guess for UP Wild, what we want to see or what we try to do to create this sense of community is to make it really inclusive. Na hindi lang itong space for biologists, it's not just for scientists or people in the science background. This is actually a page where everyone can learn. We try to promote the idea of citizen science, is basically meaning that everyone can do science. Because we feel like if somebody or if someone can feel that they belong in a community, that they find a role in that community, they would become engaged. And yun yung pagbe-build mo ng sense of community where they feel like they can contribute, they get a sense of fulfillment. So one of the things in what we do is we don't mind bad quality photos. So a lot of our contents are contributed by the community. They would take pictures of sometimes very blurry and crappy photos, really. But we still use them because this is the everyday fact, diba? We don't get high quality photos of birds. Minsan blur lang siya, but that's all right because that's reality. And there is a space for that, and we try to accommodate for that as well.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Jelaine. Hindi kailangan picture perfect. Yes. Maybe Bea, next. Final words.
Yeah, having like sat on like, leading coalitions for a specific campaign or cultivating an online community, for example, of like Asian youth activists, like a few years ago. At the end of the day, what really unites us is our concern for the issues at hand. And as Jelaine referred to, right, like what are our personal contributions that can make a mark? And I guess my favorite advice is not really super formal, but it's really to just show up in your vulnerability as a human being who cares about the planet and social change in general, right? Like it's gonna be imperfect, like any community. We're of course at the end of the day, tao lang din tayo. We're all human beings. We don't go into a meeting and say, "Hi, my name is ganito. These are my affiliations." I know ito yung structure today because we're speakers, but on a regular community meeting, right? We show up in all our humanness, and we all share the same concerns, the same problems, the way out of this advocacy. And just that, to just show up in all the necessary human conflicts, and have those conflicts, and just go through it with as much openness and kindness and vulnerability, because at the end of the day, we really have each other. We only have each other. And as much as we want to empower each other, we have to do that painstaking task of building a better world together. So there.
Beautiful. Thanks, Bea. Showing up. We're all here showing up. Thank you. Okay, finally, Jade, to share your advice.
You all shared like beautiful things, and I feel like I don't have much to add to it. But I just remembered that when I was still formulating what ideal materials was meant to be, I kept highlighting that it's supposed to be the heart of social change. And it we have to really work together to commit to something. And in my work in Sentinel Upcycling Technologies, we also have a catchphrase of sorts. It works if we work together, and it takes the whole world to save the world. So really, community is just about coming together in order to do that. And that's it for me.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jade. Thanks, everyone. Now we get to a fun part. Well, we're all fun, but this particularly fun, I think, because we get to hear from our audience and also yeah, get a chance to answer their questions for all of you. So looking here in the chat, we have a question from Doc Mario, actually, PAASE. And his question is, how do you define success in the type of work that you do? And what are the measures or indicators that you have been effective in what you do? I think Jelaine may mention kayo ganyan kanina about social media metrics. But do you want to
Yes.
expound on that? Yeah.
Yes, I guess, I mean, superficially, yun yung isang metric that I use, which is yung like, shares, followers. Yeah, basically yung metrics that are in Facebook or in Instagram. But then I don't think that would reflect really well what I wanted to do, like the real change. So beyond that metrics, itong mga likes and shares na yan, I think what's really important for me is to see the actual change in people's action. For example, because of our page, there are people who reach out and just message us that there is a snake inside our house. What do we do? Or there is an owl inside the building. What do we do? I think yung kahit yung mga ganong question, that actually shows the success of the project, because for snakes especially, ang ating common reaction is to kill it. It's a dangerous animal, let's kill it. Wala nang questions asked. Pero when people start questioning, oh, I have this snake, is it poisonous? Is it okay that I leave it alone? So that actually inspires, I mean, me, because may nangyayaring change on the ground. So there's been rescues as well of wildlife being trapped inside cities, because these conflicts will inevitably mangyayari dahil marami yung mga city and urbanization natin. So it will be inevitable. But because of that awareness, I think that's a good indicator of sort of how the page is reaching people and changing mindsets and how we interact with environment.
Beautiful. Virtual to real life impact. Thanks, Jelaine. Does anyone want to also jump in?
I'll just
Or-
jump in real quick. I think I'm a good counterpoint to Jelaine, because we both manage, social media pages. So in terms of impact and success, again, as she mentioned, there are those vanity metrics like likes and shares. And for instance, Jade, she actually had a very viral post. I think you were sharing about how on paper you weren't a great student, but of course you were making impact in other ways. And that really, really resonated with the community. It went viral, thousands of shares and likes. But beyond that, I think it's more of the individual stories, in the messages. We get sent these screenshots of, let's say, someone approached a contributing scientist and they were like, oh, because of you, I applied for this course. Or let's say, for instance, one of our current interns, he was inspired by Pinay Scientists to go into his molecular biology degree in LaSalle. So, on an individual level, you're changing these lives, and collectively that actually makes a difference, right? And just to add also, for instance, on a more, let's say, kilig level, we've actually had scientists find love on Pinoy Scientists. So for instance, one of our past contributors, she got married recently. She's currently in Harvard. And yeah, her now husband saw her on Pinoy Scientists, decided to shoot his shot, and now they're married. So it's kind of that it's really making connections, and yeah, they can really add up over time.
Beautiful. Another incentive, motivation to contribute to Pinay Scientists. Wonderful. Sige, baka in the interest of getting to more questions, we can get another question from the chat, and then we'll go. I see some hands raised, so we'll also go get to you, sir. Doc Al. Next question, I'll read from Krister De Silva. Thanks, Krister, for the question. Meron din siyang sinabi dito na it's powerful to see women at the forefront of scientific and social advancement in the Philippines, as we've seen in today's chat. For our speakers, I'd like to ask, from your perspectives, what kinds of work are needed as we pave the way for more intersectional, parenthesis, gender, class, and culture, inclusive and empowering scientific landscape in the Philippines? And how can we, including the audience, contribute to this work? Who wants to take it on? Maybe, I think, Bea and Tammy, if you wish.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'll just give, I guess, a sort of different perspective on this, because I've been reading so much about like care-based economies and like, how to make, the structure of work more feminist in its care-based nature. And basically, to that, I'd like to offer a counter question, right? Like, aside from asking what kinds of work are needed so that, we become more intersectional and gender inclusive and all that, I guess the counter question is what historical responsibility that has always gotten down to women, that's always gone to women, can we share as a society, right? Like, how do we infuse our, for example, education systems or child rearing systems with more care, to be more feminist participatory approaches, so that it doesn't all fall to women. Imagine, I have really good friends who are women and mothers, and like also they have their day job and all of that, and it all falls to them at the end of the day. The minute ways that care has always gone to the women. So I guess, what kinds of work can we share even more in society? How do we really lift up the value of women's work in this work, and not just the literal scientific contribution work, but all the many ways that we do emotional and care labor in society? So yeah, sorry, that's a counter question, not an answer, but I hope it helps.
Thanks, Bea. No, really, I think, well, I'm not, it's not my expertise, but I think it's actually, yeah, I mean, I think it's consistent with what you're saying, that it's actually not a coincidence that we are all women here today, that those who are taking care of our communities and our world are many, of course, not all, but many are women leaders, and we are celebrating that today. But at the same time, it means also that we want to get to a world where that is shared more, and is more diverse. So we also want to keep that in mind when we are including and also educating the next generation. Okay na. We can get to the next question. Doc Al is raising his hand, so we can try to
Thank you, Reina. First, congratulations to all of you. I mean, I'm quite impressed and quite refreshed by the discussions that you have with your own advocacy and your love for science. My name is Al. Of course, I work as a PAASE. I'm the chairperson for the board of directors, and I'm also a member of the National Academy of Science. And a bit of three things, I think. I just wanted to alert everyone that we do have a problem of science communications in the country. And I think I remember Seth Boy of DOST. He said that when he became secretary 6 years earlier, the awareness of what DOST does is about 1 out of 10 people know what DOST does. May humihingi pa ng franchise sa kanya. Kala DOT siya, transportation. That's one. So clearly, what you're doing, guys, are very important. Connecting the audience with what we do as scientists, and continue that. Definitely, science communication is one of the most under funded as well as under participated. So that's one area that you guys have a very keen handle, especially with social media. But I do want to connect that communication all the way down to our GII, our Innovation Competitiveness Index, where we rank 59 overall, but our publication rate in communicating our scientific and engineering work is ranked 124. So we're punching half of our weight, for lack of a better word, in boxing, no? Or we're very much underperforming in terms of publication rate and communication rate, essentially. Our desire to communicate. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. I don't publish, I communicate a lot, but I work in different avenues, but my publication rate is really not high there beyond my patent literature. So clearly, I just want to make that everyone aware of that particular indicator, as much as there are other aspects of science that we can being able to communicate it both in vocal and in writing is equally important. So we should do something about that, and we will definitely tap into the Pinoy Scientists Network as we engage not only PAASE, the UST, and NASDAQ publication. And then, of course, the global linkages that can assist this problem is something that has been advocated in PAASE recently in our meeting with the UST Secretary Rene, of being able to collaborate and join forces, if even besides training and education, it's more co-authorship, guys. We are all part of what, for lack of a better word, an expertise cluster. We love a particular branch of science, and let's advocate writing or co-writing or collaborating in that aspect, so increasing awareness even further. It goes both ways, from the younger ones to the elder ones. I think that's one thing that I'm convincing the National Academy as well, to be more attuned to our needs, especially for the current situation on the ground. And you guys are in the front lines. Thank you for communicating what you are doing. And I would love to be able to echo some of your learnings today to the elders. Or lack of a better. I'm not yet an elder. Di pa puti lahat ng buhok ko, pero I definitely would love to hear more about your way of accepting the challenge. Sir, yes, Al, let's do something about that on publications and all of that. So thank you. I just wanted to congratulate you. You're the youngest group of women that I've interacted this International Women's Month. I was with CEOs of industries 2 weeks ago, and I was definitely very interested with, of course, PAASE is a very well-populated way, women scientists. There's not sure about the ratio, but so is the National Academy. But you're right, a lot of them are too old to communicate, or some of them are even dead. We need models, young models like you guys, to inspire our fellow younger community. My closing remark is, it's time to get risky. That's being relevant and impactful in sharing our knowledge to the youth. That's risky. So guys, you're doing it already. Keep doing it. Thank you, Reina, and thanks everyone for joining us in PAASE as well in this particular endeavor. Salamat. Magandang umaga.
Sige. Thanks, Doc Al, for the invitation. For of course, we are all part of this community, and the PAASE and Pinoy Scientists are happy to be working together, and will have more initiatives together po. We have a few more questions from the audience, but let me, in the interest of time, we'll have one question that we can take. There's a question from Prof. Benjamin Vallejo, and the question is on citizen science. So what do you think is the future of citizen science in the Philippines? Will government, private, and academia recognize it for its scientific value? And also a comment that much of the effort is done by women, which resonate with what we said earlier. I think, Jelaine, you actually have worked on citizen science projects, so you can maybe comment.
Okay, yes. Thanks, Sir Ben, for that question. So I guess I can only answer in the perspective of academia, bilang nandun ako sa academia, and maybe other people can jump in about how government and private institution can utilize citizen science. But in terms of academia, I do think that the possibilities are expanding. And especially with technology, people are equipped to contribute more data as it's more accessible and easier for people to contribute data. So for example, yung isang app that I mentioned in my earlier presentation, the iNaturalist, it's basically like a Pokemon Go, but of real animals and wildlife rather than of fake, I mean like of imagination Pokemon. So these technology are really expanding. It's a game changer, allowing more people to become involved. And in academia, more research are going into how accurate they are or how they can be used to inform policy. So I do think that in terms of the perspective from academia, it will be recognized for its scientific value and hopefully also become more inclusive in a way that yung contributions ng mga citizen science are not just taken lightly, na they can be part of publications, for example, going back to what Sarah just mentioned a while ago, that they can be part of the publications and the articles and the policies, not just an acknowledgement at the end of the day. So yes, I do think it's gonna be positive outlook.
Yes, then there's more and more opportunities for even students, teachers, and all Filipinos to be part of a scientific study and scientific paper and have their names in the author list. Well,
I'd also like to
yeah,
add,
please.
yeah, so hi, Sir Vallejo. I remember I was your student in STS. But I my initiative was initially just a volunteer one. It wasn't completely mixed into my work. So I think categorically it's considered citizen science, how I was able to apply my scientific background to initially help my community. And uh after I was able to legitimize it using my work, basically, the company I was working for, Sentinel Upcycling Technology, supported the initiative and said, okay, this is a good direction for what and aligned with what we're doing. And from there, I was able to present it more to other companies, other LGUs, and we even had partnerships with academia. So UPD, UP Diliman Civil Engineering, their environmental group, WASTO project. They're all very helpful. We're also partnered with the OST, ITDI. So it really is, there is a lot of value in citizen science, and the institutions that we have do recognize its scientific value, as long as there's someone initially like saying, okay, this is legit, let's see where we can take this. And lastly, I agree with that. Much of the effort is done by women. A lot of the people I speak to are women, especially in the waste management sector. So really, it's a lot of background work that we do and aren't always acknowledged for. But yeah, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jade. Thanks, everyone. Actually, that would be all our time for questions. We want to thank all the audience for their questions, and of course, if you have other questions or more specific questions for particular of our for each of our for one of our panelists, of course, you can feel free to reach out to them on their social media and other places you can and their organizations, of course. So before we let you go, let's take a quick group photo to capture our panel discussion na nakangiti tayong lahat. So I can take the photo. 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right. So thanks again to our panelists for sharing yourselves, your stories and your advocacy. And we hope that we have touched and inspired many of our audience members today in our own ways. And we will now move on to the next part of our session today. It's not yet done, so please stay with us. We're just going now to the next part where we will have our signing of the PAASE and Pinay Scientists Memorandum of Agreement and celebrate with our partners here and of course our community. But before that, we would like to again acknowledge our partners who made this event possible. The event is jointly organized by PAASE and Pinay Scientists and brought to you by Molave Trading Inc. and in partnership with Philippine Space Agency. And before we go to the next part of our program, let's hear from our partners. And can play the quick videos from our partners.
Maraming pangarap ang umusbong mula sa mga simpleng tanong. Mga tanong na humantong sa pagtuklas, inspirasyon, at paglalakbay. Matagal na nating tinutuklas ang kalawakan. Marami na rin tayong natuklasan dahil sa pagmamasid mula sa kalawakan. Ano na ba ang lagay ng panahon? Saan at kailan kaya tatama ang bagyo? Ano na ba ang kalidad ng hangin na ating nilalanghap? Pero mas malawak pa ang gabay na pwedeng manggaling sa kalawakan. Dahilan kaya tayo naglalagay ng infrastruktura at patuloy na kumukuha ng impormasyon sa ating planeta. Gabay tungo sa pangarap na makabangon at magkaroon ng mas maunlad na hinaharap katuwang ang agham at teknolohiyang pangkalawakan. Pangarap na abot tanaw na sa pangunguna ng Philippine Space Agency o PhilSA. Itinatag noong 2019, ang PhilSA ang magtataguyod ng mga programa para tiyakin ang payapang paggamit ng kalawakan upang pangalagaan ang pambansang seguridad at suportahan ang ating pag-unlad. Bantayan ang kalikasan at tiyakin na makakaiwas tayo sa peligro ng mga sakuna at nagbabagong klima. Paigtingin ang pagsasaliksik at paggawa ng mga bagong teknolohiya. Suportahan ang pagsibol ng mga bagong industriya at pagsigla ng ekonomiya. Palawakin pa ang edukasyon at kaalaman ng publiko tungkol sa kalawakan at makipagkaisa at makipagtulungan sa iba pang mga bansa. Tinatahak na ng Pilipinas ang landas tungo sa makabago, mas ligtas at mas masaganang buhay para sa mga Pilipino gamit ang agham at teknolohiyang pangkalawakan. Isang karangalan ang pagkakataong maging bahagi ng paglalakbay na ito. Isang karangalan na isulong at panatilihin ang matatag na pangkalawakang komunidad na magpapahalaga sa mga mithiin ng mga Pilipino sa buong mundo. Isang bansang masagana, nakakaangat at may kakayanan, katuwang ang payapang paggamit ng kalawakan.
All right. Now we will have the ceremonial signing of the MOA between PAASE and Pinay Scientists, and we are honored to be joined by Dr. Mario Santo Domingo, former president of PAASE, who was instrumental to making this partnership possible when we began discussions last year. So say a few words. Thank you, Doc Mario. Please.
Yes. Maraming salamat, Reina. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat at maligayang buwan ng kababaihan. I was really impressed for the inspiring and inspired presentations we listened to this morning. What we are going to witness today is actually a product of an 8-month worth of effort between PAASE and Pinay Scientists. I remember it started in July last year when Reina approached Dr. Alce Rafika, I believe at NAST, about this possibility. And then Reina, wrote Dr. Gisela Concepcion, a previous president, and then wrote to us, who can say no to Reina and to kami. But kidding aside, this is really something that has been part, of what I've been trying to do at PAASE. One of my guiding principles is, of course, building social capital, and that means, both horizontal and vertical integration of all our efforts. And so this morning signing of the memorandum of agreement is just a step, toward realizing our common goals of promoting and advancing science in the Philippines. The MOA is quite extensive, and I just mentioned two of the about 12 objectives in the MOA, and that's one of them is the active collaboration in identifying and implementing science, technology, and innovation initiatives, including research programs, grants, scholarships, and capacity building activities for Filipino scientists. And I believe that Filipino scientists here don't just pertain to those in the academe, but also those in the communities, those in government, those in industries. So it's across the board. These initiatives may involve organizing conferences, workshops, seminars, and other activities aimed at leveraging scientific expertise and knowledge sharing. And this is in addition, of course, to fundraising, which is a very important part of what we do, because we cannot do a lot of things that we do without the necessary resources, like paying for our staff, giving some incentives to those who help us, because they also have economic needs. This is something really very important, and I'm really very happy that Pinoy Scientists and PAASE found each other and is now formalizing our agreement. Sabi ng iba sa wakas, but of course this is not the wakas, this is the simula. This will be the beginning of a productive cooperation and collaboration. And I would like to call in, our current leaders right now, of course, from the PAASE side, who will be signing the memorandum of agreement. The major signatory for PAASE is President Gladys Completo, Professor Completo from the UPLB, and also academician Alce Rafika will be joining us, from the Pinoy Scientists, of course, our chair and founder, Reina Reyes, and co-founder and communications director, Navarro, and of course, Gerson Lakdao. So together, let us now ceremonially sign, our memorandum of agreement, and then we'll have a photo op. Okay. And then we'll, if you have your paper with you, your MOA with you, we'll please sign it, and then we'll have a photo op. I'm showing my paper.
Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Yay.
Cheers to a productive, collaboration.
Cheers. Sige, let's do a quick photo op. Stop sharing mo ng slides para malaki tayo. There you go. Okay. And take a picture. 1, 2, 3. Smile, everyone. Yay. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much for the partnership.
Gerson.
All right, and with that, we would also like to launch our joint donation drive. So, di ba, diretso na natin. And this partnership is made possible our joint donation drive that we are launching today. We have a donation drive support us page in our in the Pinoy Scientists website at this link, and also there's a QR code for anyone here who would like to support us, who appreciate what we're doing and would like us to expand and continue our initiatives, of course, together with our partners and our communities. So there are many ways to support, and also please feel free to reach out to us if you have any ideas po, or if you want to collaborate. We're always open, and ito nga po yung testament na we are building our partnerships across the ecosystem for science in the Philippines. Okay. Sige, we look forward to hearing from you. Now we are to wrap up our event. We will hear from, just all welcome again, Dr. Gonzalo Al Serafica, Chairman of the Board of Directors of PAASE, to share his closing remarks.
Thank you, Reina. I mean, I thought I did already, but nevertheless, I wanted to then call to arms, I guess, as Mario indicated na simula pa lang ito, hindi ito yung wakas. Malayo pa yung kasaysayan natin. Lalo tayo mga nakikibaka at nakikipaglaban para sa kabutihan at iunlad ng ating bayan sa Pilipinas. No? So, ang gusto ko lang hingiin is, ito na po yung ating pagkakakita. We all, when I was president of PAASE almost 8 years ago, I always said that like I'm a chemical engineer by profession. I did my PhD in chemical engineering in New York, and I always think of reactions happening on interfaces. So you are all part of this interface now. Nagkita-kita tayo dito. Kaya sana may mangyaring reaction. hindi lang reaction actually. Sana may mangyaring action para hindi tayo NATO. No action talk only. But nevertheless, I welcome everyone in the audience. A lot of you are probably younger than we are. Tapos si Mario, wala ng buhok sa karaming iniisip sa mundo. But definitely connect with us in terms of some of the outstanding issues and efforts that we are undertaking in the PAASE level as well, and all the way to the National Academy. Because part of that is indeed what we call a transdisciplinary team formation of tackling problems now. Hindi lang akademya, hindi lang gobyerno, hindi lang industriya. Kasama na pati entrepreneur, kasama na pati community, pati NGO. Lahat po nagsasama-sama. Sana lahat tayo na nandito ay parte ng mga nabanggit kong yon. At ito po yung ating hinihingi ay na magkasama-sama tayong muli regarding a particular problem, may it be climate change, like what BEA is trying to tackle, or plastic, which we in my foundation have plastic modules for teaching, recycling and life cycle analysis, like what Jade is doing, and of course our social media and publication, like what the rest of our group in their own advocacies are trying to do. And of course, increasing our publication rate, which have actually some potential monetary support coming from our funding agencies as well, because it's a Philippine problem that we need to help out. And only us scientists can increase that level because it's regarding our scientific output. So with that, I'm hoping that lahat tayo na-inspire ng ating mga speakers in their particular efforts, in their advocacies as well, what's closest to their heart. But I'm also wanting to bring the biggest concerns of our country right now in terms of manpower development and activities. So continue to share our efforts. Like one of the recent texts that I have to Gladys is to actually compose a new research expertise cluster of people who are interested in artificial intelligence, and both from the safety, policy, and also utilization. So if any one of you are interested in that, that's part of what we do. And I know Reina has been early on. And of course, besides her first love, which is space, I seeing you with the space agency ad. But ito na po yun. Nandito tayong lahat. Nagkita-kita na tayo. Nagkaalaman na ng pangalan. Tara na. Let's go. Let's go and let's do something. And again, please stay connected. I just, as part of that, I just followed Pinay Scientists. My first activity in Facebook in 3 years. I think. But definitely because of your advocacy, it kind of behooves me to see exactly what's happening on your Facebook page. And since I'm not also on Instagram, clearly that's my only avenue. But ito na yun, magkita-kita na po tayo at mag-usap ng palagi para meron po tayong magawa ito sa mga darating na madaling panahon. Maraming salamat. And Reina, maraming salamat sa iyo at nilapitan mo ako. At ngayon, ito, nabuo na natin yung ating kooperasyon. At sana nga, itong darating na meeting natin sa PAASE, sa IPAMS ng July, sana po, meron nga kasama kami, mga galing sa Pinay Scientists. Na ino-organize namin na 1 linggo, ginagawa ni Gladys na programa para sa PAASE. Caravan, parang yung caravan ng mga nagtitinda ng mga sawali at saka mga laruan.
And just 1 week, 10 days. 10
days, wala, 10 days na caravan. So kahit naman lang mapuntahan natin yung mga lugar na paborito nyo, makita nyo man lang tayo. Kami yung mga nagtitinda na may ng mga science and technology products natin. Para po maengganyo ang ating mga kasama sa buong Pilipinas. Yan lang. Maraming salamat and good luck to you all. Good morning.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much for the energy and the invitation, of course, for being instrumental to this partnership. Salamat po. Looking forward po to all our more collaboration and more initiatives. And the APAMS po, I will definitely be there. Na-invite na po na mag-talk for Pinoy Scientists. So with that, we'd like to we'll close the event and just say thank you again to everyone for joining us. I hope it was illuminating and inspiring for everyone as it was for me and for all of us here in the team. And also, of course, would like to thank the team behind the scenes who are doing all the work. So Ms. Feb of PAASE and our interns, Kael and Jean and Gerson also is helping out. So thank you everyone for making this event a successful one. We also want to share again this link for the for your feedback evaluation forms. We'd love to hear your feedback on the event. And for those who are requesting for certificates, dito nyo rin po, you can also request for a certificate by filling out the evaluation form. So thank you also to our guests, our panelists and partners, and for everyone for joining us today. And sana po, we will see you again in our events. Please stay in touch. As Doc Al said, we are on Facebook and Instagram. We're also we have the website and the mailing list. You can subscribe to our newsletter at pinoyscientist.substack.com, and we will be we will be in touch. So thank you everyone, and we look forward to having more interactions and reactions and actions together. Have a lovely rest of the day and rest of the weekend po. Happy Women's Month po sa ating lahat.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Reina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you,
Miss
Dr.
Yvonne.
Send you an email. I will send you an email, Reina, to have for our future other projects that can work together. And congratulations.
Thank you po. Baka we can have a group photo. Kaya lang, kaya ba Miss Feb?
Yes po, pwede po, pero pa-stop share po.
Sige. For those who are staying or if you have time naman, we can take a quick group photo. Well, not so quick kasi maraming panels, but we will try. So let's go to gallery. All right, and then you can turn your video on if you would like to be part of the photo.
So Reina, we also have a newsletter, so we'll be featuring this, your Fireside in our newsletter, and then we'll share it with you. And also we welcome volunteers to come up with an article that we can post in our newsletter. So please,
You can contribute as well.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
Gawin
everyone
natin yung,
can follow
ano,
PAASE newsletter as well, and you can contribute as well.
yes.
And follow also PAASE on Facebook. They're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
The
Di
PAASE
lang,
page.
di lang masyadong active now. I'm getting inspired. Maybe we should try Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. Ito na yung mga ano.
Ang- But it's so difficult to maintain a social media, I think. You have to be there all the time, no? Dapat.
Okay, let's take a photo.
1, 2, 3, smile. Page 2 po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay na po, Doc Reina.
All right, thank you everyone. Thank you, Miss Feb.
Welcome po.
Didi.
Tapos hingi ako ng mga PowerPoints ng speakers.
Sige po.
Thank you po.
Yeah, can you please send the PowerPoints
Sige po.
for the speakers? Thank you. Feb, am I gonna stay here for the meeting? Pareho lang ba yun?
Recording na rin.
Mag-leave ka, Doc. Nasa separate link kayo. Zoom
Okay,
link.
alright. Okay, bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye na.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.